From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. First, the headlines. China warns Biden's Taiwan policy will affect China-U.S. relations. Over 100 million forcibly displaced globally for first time. Taliban calls for recognition of Afghan women's rights based on Islamic culture. Israel bans EU delegation's visit to Palestine. Report says extreme heat wave over Pakistan and India due to climate change. Justice Sonia Sotomayor denounces death row ruling.
This is Bubba Murray with breaking news. Earlier today, at least 14 students and one teacher were killed in a mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in the U.S. state of Texas after an 18-year-old gunman opened fire.
And our top story tonight. Beijing warns that President Joe Biden's Taiwan policy will have irredeemable consequences for the China-U.S. relationship if the U.S. continues down the wrong path. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin accused the U.S. of covertly and secretly supporting Taiwan independence separatist activities. On Monday, President Biden warned that the U.S. could defend Taiwan militarily in case of an attack by China, drawing a direct analogy to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. President Biden said Washington's strategic ambiguity policy on Taiwan remains unchanged. Uyghurs are warning UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet not to fall for China's public relations stunt during her visit to occupied East Turkestan this week. Bachelet will visit the cities of Urumqi and Kashgar Tuesday and Wednesday as part of a 6-day tour. Human rights advocates accuse the ruling Chinese Communist Party of detaining more than 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in the largest concentration camps since Nazi Germany. Urumqi houses major government agencies believed to have orchestrated the crackdown on what China calls religious extremism. Uyghur Muslims say they are being persecuted for their religious identity. After several years of advocacy by activists, the United States labeled China's decades-long persecution of Uyghurs as genocide. On Monday, a Russian diplomat issued a rare public rebuke of President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine, resigning in protest. Russia's invasion, which began on February 24th, has killed over 3,000 civilians, displaced more than 6 million people, and garnered worldwide condemnation. Boris Bondarev is a longtime diplomat to the United Nations in Geneva. He has worked on disarmament issues. He confirmed in a letter to his colleagues that he had resigned from his position, writing that he simply cannot any longer share in this bloody, witless, and absolutely needless economy. For 20 years of my diplomatic career, I've seen different turns of our foreign policy, but never have I been so ashamed of my country, Bondarev wrote. He called the war a crime against the Ukrainian people, as well as one that will harm the people of Russia. The number of forcibly displaced people globally has exceeded 100 million for the first time, the UN Refugee Agency reports. That figure includes people fleeing conflict, violence, human rights violations, and persecution. The war in Ukraine and other deadly conflicts have contributed to the surge, the UN Refugee Agency said Monday. Filippo Grandi, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, said it is a wake-up call to resolve and prevent destructive conflicts and end persecution. He also urged addressing the underlying causes that force people to flee their homes. UNHCR data shows that the displaced numbers rose with new waves of violence or protracted conflict, including in Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, Burma, Nigeria, Afghanistan, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In related news, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken implored the international community to collaborate to ensure migration is safer and more orderly. The number of people migrating for a better life has hit record levels not seen since World War II. The U.S. top diplomat spoke during the first International Migration Review Forum last week at the UN headquarters in New York. Blinken told the forum that the U.S. is committed to implementing migration policies grounded in human rights, human dignity, transparency, and state sovereignty. He said that the Biden administration will work with civil society, governments, and the private sector towards that aim. He said migration is a challenge that no one of us can solve alone. A European Union delegation has cancelled its scheduled visit to the Palestinian territories after Israel broke the trip. Manu Pineda, head of the EU delegation, said that the Israeli Foreign Ministry did not approve the group's visit. Pineda chairs the European Parliament's delegation for relations with Palestine. Officials pledged to raise the issue directly with Israeli authorities. Israel launched the biggest eviction of Palestinians in decades ahead of U.S. President Joe Biden's planned visit in June. It will permanently remove more than 1,000 Palestinians and repurpose the land for an Israeli army firing range. The Israeli army also arrested over 1,000 Palestinians, including 165 children and 11 women in April, according to Palestinian authorities. On Sunday, senior Taliban leader Sher Mohammad Abbas Stanikzai called for the recognition of women's rights in Afghanistan, specifically education per Islamic laws. He urged the interim government to ensure Afghan women are provided primary and secondary education and safety. In September, the Taliban regime said it would not reopen schools for girls above 6th grade. Stanikzai was speaking on the death anniversary of the former Afghan leader Mullah Akhtar Mohammad Mansour. He said women must be provided with their rights based on Afghan culture, Tolo News reported. Updates on the resignation of a longtime consultant from an oil giant after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Billboards are popping up all over the country with an...
Our neighbors don't realize that Muslims are absolutely opposed to ISIS.
Salam. My name is Abdul Malik Mujahid. I'm an imam in Chicago.
16 shots! No me! No justice! No me!
So how do we bring up the energy which can really have an impact on the world?
You need to build bridges of understanding among people, and we need to have America moving forward.
That lesson learned have brought the strength of humanity to America, which is the diversity.
Mujahid Talks, only on Muslim Network TV. Faithfully connected.
Assalamu alaikum!
Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe, and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
On Monday, a long-time Shell consultant based in the UK quit the company, condemning the efforts to expand oil and gas production. Caroline Dennett, a Shell senior safety consultant for 11 years, said that the fossil fuel giant is ignoring scientific warnings about the need for swift decarbonization to avert climate disaster. In a video shared on LinkedIn, Dennett echoed points made in the resignation letter she emailed to CEO Ben Van Boorden and 1,400 employees. Dennett said Shell is failing its so-called Goal Zero pledge. She said the company knows and continues oil and gas extraction, which causes extreme harm to our climate and to our environment and to people. In an email obtained by Politico, Dennett wrote, Shell is operating beyond the design limits of our planetary systems and not mitigating known risks. Recent waves of extreme heat in large parts of North and Northwest India and Pakistan have been linked directly to climate change. That's according to a report released by World Weather Attribution. The report notes climate change makes chances of extreme heat events 30 times higher. Both nations have experienced multiple severe, frequent, and prolonged heat wave spells since early March. It has hampered growth of crops such as wheat, increased power demands, and led to forest fires in India. It has also triggered the early melting of glaciers in the glacial lake outburst flood in neighboring Pakistan. On Sunday, Turkey's foreign ministry advised its citizens living in the U.S. to avoid large gatherings for their own safety. The ministry said U.S. security agencies do take measures against potential violence at rallies and large gatherings, but in some past rallies, real bullets, tasers, and tear gas have been used, the ministry warned. Ministry advised Turkish citizens to avoid crowds, keep a low profile, and to stay away from protest, inform relatives of whereabouts, and follow media reports. NPR reports that so far this year there have been 198 mass shootings in the U.S. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled against two men on Arizona's death row who said they received inadequate legal defense. The court ruled 6-3 along ideological lines that David, Martinez, Ramirez, and Barry Jones cannot raise evidence of ineffective counsel during a federal appeal. Justices cited the reason for the denial was because the duo didn't present the evidence in state court. The men who were convicted in separate cases also allege they received ineffective representation during the lower court appeal. Justice Sonia Sotomayor denounced the decision as perverse and illogical. She wrote in her dissent, "It is illogical to fault the petitioners for post-conviction counsel's failure to develop evidence in support of the trial ineffectiveness claim." Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Imam Malik Mujahid in Chicago. Just like you, I was moved by that Allahu Akbar lady. She stood her ground, fearful of none, for her hijab and for her education. Sisters and brothers, Indian Muslims are facing a genocide. India does not care for Muslim protesting, but it does care for the world opinion. Therefore, we must push the United Nations. The UN has a responsibility to protect. They must prevent genocide. Please sign this UN petition now. Get others to sign. It will help. Trust me, it will help. We need 1 million signatures, brothers and sisters. Please sign now.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
We are Justice for All. Headquartered in the heart of downtown Chicago, Justice for All is a global humanitarian initiative dedicated to raising awareness for human rights concerns impacting vulnerable minority groups. Our diverse team of staff and volunteers, led by Imam Malik Mujahid, work tirelessly to help Justice for All achieve their goals. We promote policies that protect religious freedom, address the root causes of mass displacement, and recognize the plight of refugees and forced migrants. Together, we can continue to stand up for justice. Justice for all.
Welcome back. We have with us today Serwi Hussein, who is the team lead for Justice for All Save Uyghur campaign. We'll be discussing UN Human Rights top chief visiting China for the first time. This is the first time a human rights top official from the United Nations is visiting China since 2005. Thank you so much for being here today, Serwi.
Thank you, Sister Hena, for having me on this program again.
So let's talk about this visit. This is the first time a top official has been visiting in almost over a decade and a half. So what are your expectations from this visit?
Actually, I don't expect any big outcome from Michelle Bachelet's visit to East Turkestan this time. And I'm expecting it will be a stage scene like BBC team did in several years back in East Turkestan. Because yesterday I saw a news article in which says that Miss Michelle actually stated that her visit won't be an official investigation. It's actually an unofficial visit only to the region. So, and actually many Uyghurs in diaspora with the hashtag visit family, including myself, we asked Michelle to actually, we provided her our addresses, and we asked this woman with power in Yuan to visit our family members and ask them about our detained family members and ask them about whereabouts of our family members. And actually, we had such social media campaigns and asked her such help. But after she released her statement about it won't be an investigation and it will only be a kind of unofficial visit, and remembering the past UN visits or any delegations from any countries to our East Turkestan region to investigate about the China's treatment on Uyghurs, every time it became a kind of stage scene with the happy Uyghur image, with songs and dancing Uyghurs and clapping hands, like last time BBC's visit. So I don't actually expect much big outcome from Miss Michelle's visit this time.
I know your campaign will be monitoring and countering her visit, but it would be very, very hard to deny, especially with the leak that just took place yesterday and today, where thousands of photographs directly from police computers in China, Chinese police computers, have been leaked to scholar Adrian Zenz. How will she deny and not do an investigation after that? I'd love to hear your thoughts about that leak.
I hope the Xinjiang file. I think international consortium of journalists named the data which was released by hacking the police data storage of the Chinese government. They called it Xinjiang files, actually, and I hope the last week it was released and it was such a big sensation. And today BBC's articles, which authenticates those detainees which were included those Xinjiang file. Actually, they went to Turkey and interviewed Uyghur families and whose family members are seen to be detainees in those data. Actually, they authenticated and they did a whole bunch of work to prove that actually these leaked data were genuine and authentic. And then they published the article today, and it was such a huge sensation to the world. And Uyghur diaspora were saddened so much, and I think a lot of Uyghurs could get to see the pictures of their family members and the sentences, and also the lot of extra information stored in those data Google spreadsheet. Also, I believe Miss Michelle also got to see these BBC article, and also the last week's sensational articles about the Xinjiang file, and I hope she got to see it, and I hope it will help to awaken her conscience and lead her to conduct a formal investigation instead of a kind of informal visit to see the stage scenes. I hope, and I saw yesterday accidentally that some activists called Michelle Bachelet to go to the places of East Turkestan, go to those concentration camps which were identified by the Google mapping, and they were already published for the public already, for the global media. Go to those camps and by random sampling, visit those camps, visit those so-called re-education centers, and go to the places and go to our families. Since we would like to give her our address to visit actually our family members, I hope she will do. She will go to camps and investigate. That's what I want to tell.
You were talking about the Uyghur diaspora and their activism online. What has been the reaction of the diaspora to these leaks? What have you been witnessing in your friends and colleagues, in your community members?
I think this data storage includes more than 22,000 Uyghur detainees picture and the draconian sentences in those Google spreadsheets and a lot of just pictures also including the very horrific scene of the police, Chinese police with batons and heavy weapons. And it shows the true face of those detention camps and the prisons one more time to the global public. And at first, we know that our family members were detained. We know from the testimonies of the camp survivors that the camp and the prison, China's prison and camps are such a horrible place to be exist. But when last week the Xinjiang file was released, and it was still such a huge shock for the Uyghur community globally, the Uyghurs in Turkey and the Uyghurs in US. A couple of friends and called me, and they were so saddened, and even some of them got to find the names, unfortunately, from the documents, because this document is the stores actually data of the Uyghur detainees from the Kone Shahar. It can be translated as Olden City, Kone Shahar County in the southern East Turkestan. It accounts to 12% of the total population of Kone Shahar County. It means just more than 10% of the people of the entire county were locked up. So if you play the video that BBC released with the article together today, they authenticated some of the detainees, and then they went door to door to the Uyghur families and asked them to identify their detained family members from the storage. And luckily, they could get to identify. And I saw in the morning one old man was crying and showing the name and the picture of his son and telling the John, the Mr. John, and who is the main author of this publication, which is released today. And then what is the crime of my son? Shaking his head. What's the crime of my son? And last week we got to know that more than 20,000 Uyghurs information were leaked out, and it's actually available for us to investigate whether our family members' name and the pictures were included in the database. It was a news kind of thing. But today, when BBC's news article was released with the real pictures of those real people, and especially I noticed just like when we when we interviewed the camp teacher, Kalnur Siddiq, she told us that it just from the 14 years old to like more than 70 years old, the ladies were sent to those women's intermittent camps in East Turkestan. And I saw today one 73-year-old woman was held captive in the camp or the prison in that database because she illegally preached. And the Chinese government said to the world that they are de-radicalizing Uyghurs because Uyghurs were infected with the radical Islam terrorism idea. This is a word that actually the Chinese one of the higher official of the Chinese government, Zhao Kezhi, he stated that at least 2 million of Uyghurs were infected with the terrorist Islamic ideology. That's what he told the global the community, that's why we opened the re-education camp to de-radicalize Uyghurs. This is what he said to the world. But today's BBC article said that this old woman was 73 years old. She was detained because she preached about her deen, and she's teaching some basic teachings of Islam in the community, maybe to children, and she was detained. And one old man's picture was there with beard and without beard, and also his detainment reason is having beard and being against the rules of the Communist Party of China. And you can see that they were held captive because who they are, not because the so-called terrorism, crime, or something else, because of who they are, because of their cultural difference, because of their ethnic difference, and because of their Islamic identity. And all these identities were viewed as a crime, and also we shouldn't exclude the reason that the East Turkestan region is occupied, and this has occupied the region, and then now they would like to eradicate its population, local population, Uyghurs altogether. So when we saw this news, and and especially one woman's face, like she's 50 years old, and with tears in her eyes, her eyes were filled with tears. I think I will never forget this image, and it's a kind of wake-up call for the Uyghur diaspora. In the same time, this BBC article really motivates, I think, pressures the Uyghur community to do more to stop this genocide or reclaim their country's independence. I think this is kind of it's shock. It's sad. It brought so much sadness to the Uyghur diaspora.
This seems like one of those days where the genocide is much more real. And people are recognizing that they have been sleeping on it. Thank you so much, Zuberi, for your thoughts, for your input, and for your work.
You're very welcome, Sister Hena, like every time.
That's all from our Washington studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. If you're visiting the ICNA convention, please do come visit the Muslim Network TV booth. Assalamu alaikum and good night.